This game between Minnesota and Nebraska really comes down to a hand. Casey Thompson's hand. It's a great time to subscribe to the channel. Big Ten content every single day. Always crush that like button. You saw what Nebraska's offense turns into when Casey Thompson is not playing, when Chubba Purdy or Logan Smothers is the quarterback. This offense loses its heart. This offense loses its rhythm. This offense loses its ability to move the football and make plays down the field. So Casey Thompson, currently day to day, his ability to go will sway this game. If he's not able to go, you got to think Minnesota's going to win this one, and not only win it, but win it going away. If Casey Thompson is able to go, that gives the Huskers a fighting chance in Lincoln, Nebraska. Now, for Minnesota, the key is very, very simple. Hand the ball off again, and keep handing the ball off to Mohamed Ibrahim, because this Nebraska front is not good against the run. The Huskers are 115th in all of college football against the run in total rush defense this season. Minnesota 12th in the country in rushing offense right now. More specific numbers, the Huskers are giving up 190 yards a game on average on the ground, while Minnesota is rushing for 228 yards on the ground on average. So it's very simple game plan wise for PJ Fleck and Kirk Shiraka and this offensive coaching staff for Minnesota. Hand the ball off to Mohamed Ibrahim. Be physical. Your offensive line against their defensive line is a big advantage right now for the University of Minnesota. Now let's look at this a little bit more in depth from the Nebraska point of view. Look, Mohamed Ibrahim is probably going to go for 100 yards. He might even go for 150. What Nebraska has to try to prevent is for Mohamed Ibrahim to go absolutely wild and crazy. They have to prevent him from going for 175 or 200 or something like that, because I honestly believe Mohamed Ibrahim could go wild. He could go crazy and rush for 175 or 200 yards against this Nebraska run defense. Look, this was not a great Nebraska run defense. This isn't even a good Nebraska run defense before Nick Hendrich went out for an injury. Now they're minus one of their better linebackers for the rest of the season. A lot of that pressure goes on Luke Reimer a lot in the middle in this defensive line against Minnesota's offensive line. Big mismatch. What Nebraska has to do is try to contain Mo as much as they can, because getting Minnesota in third and mediums, even third and longs, could favor the Nebraska Cornhuskers because of Minnesota's inability to throw the football really ever since Chris Ottman-Bell went down with an injury. Okay, so Chris Ottman-Bell is down. Minnesota has kind of been hoping and waiting for kind of one of their guys to step up. I believe that guy at the wide receiver position, outside of Brevin Spanford at tight end, is Daniel Jackson. To me, he's the guy that's really stepped up. I'm not saying he's been great. I might not even say he's been good, but he's been the guy I think that's talent-wise kind of rises up above other guys in that wide receiving core. So Nebraska's got to find a way to get Minnesota into passing situations. I think that is a key. Another thing for Nebraska, get on the board early and stay ahead. Okay, because if you get this Minnesota team, you get them down and we get a 7-point game, a 10-point game late in the game. Is this a Minnesota team that can come back from a couple of possessions late in the football game? Because at that point, you're going to have to throw the football. If you're down by a couple of scores, you can't keep on running the football. If Nebraska can get Minnesota into that type of situation, that could be a big-time plus, and that could be a big-time advantage for Nebraska. Let's talk. We were talking about Minnesota. Run the ball, run the ball. Nebraska's not running the ball. That's a Mark Whipple thing. He doesn't like to run the football right now. It's kind of a shame because Anthony Grant, I think, is a really good running back. I'm not sure if Mark Whipple trusts his offensive line to continuously get a push. It would be nice for Nebraska to be able to run the football to add some balance. Maybe even kind of incorporate some of those Scott Frost running concepts that we saw kind of had some decent games even last season and in the early part of this season. So that would be nice, but I don't think it's going to happen. In Minnesota, that could play into their hands. Minnesota, you got to try to slow down Trey Palmer. 1 catch for 1 yard against Illinois. That's the way to do it. But I'm not sure. Look, they've got good defensive backs. I'm not sure if there's a Devin Witherspoon on this Minnesota defense. So for Nebraska, throw it. I think that's a big key to this game because I look at this front for Minnesota. I think they can get on the other side of the line of scrimmage against this Nebraska offensive line. I think Minnesota can slow down this running game. I think that's if Casey Thompson's able to go. The big question is, can Nebraska pitch it around the yard against Minnesota? Look, Minnesota's gonna clue in on Trey Palmer. It's just what's gonna happen. Will Trey make those plays? Another big question. Other guys have got to step up. Look at Travis Vokalek in that big rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, very graceful run down the sidelines for a touchdown against Illinois. If you get guys like a Travis Vokalek, you get Alante Brown, let's see a little bit more out of Marcus Washington. You see those guys step up, and you see more weapons step up for Nebraska against this Minnesota defense, and now Minnesota's got to kind of distribute their resources in being able to defend all of those targets. I really believe this could be a really good game if Casey Thompson is able to go. Beginning of the season, I thought this Minnesota-Nebraska game might have a deciding factor on who goes to Indianapolis. It appears that is not going to be the case right here, right now, but it is still going to be a really good football game if Casey is able to go. We got the passing attack of Nebraska. We've got the rushing attack of Minnesota. Should be a good and fun contrast in styles. Want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your predictions in the comments below. Make sure you comment. Also, make sure you subscribe to Big Ten Ted. I'm Big Ten Ted, and we'll see you in the next one.